Welcome back to another Euro Fantasy video and podcast. This will be the best defenders in the game. I'll be doing a top 10 and one honourable mention to form a starting 11, and I'll be doing this for each position. The best goalkeepers is already out on the channel, best budget players, and if you want to see players to avoid, then be sure to smash the like button and subscribe if you're new. Let's get this video to the 200 likes and let's keep on pushing towards 24,000 subscribers, and check out all the other links in the description below for my Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, my Patreon, the Championships Discord server, and the Euro Fantasy League, and the code is JCRHjQ. There is an auto join link to make it even simpler. But without further ado, let's jump straight into it. At number 11, I've gone for John Stones, and you might argue Mark Gay should be in his place because he's 4.5 million and will likely be the centre-back partner for John Stones, but I did mention Mark Gay in the best budget players video and podcast, and some players do overlap, but I wanted to go for John Stones and cover him because I think he's quite underrated in terms of ball recoveries. He's got a few goals in him, but if you compare his goal record to Harry Maguire, it's nowhere near the same level for his country. But Harry Maguire will be a big miss for England. I do think they will struggle defensively, and they have really shown signs of weaknesses in recent friendlies with only one win out of the last 5 games. They lost 1-0 to Iceland at home, but I still think Stones, with 4% ownership and a price tag of 5 million, can offer you ball recoveries and 1 or 2 clean sheets in the group stages, despite having Denmark and Serbia, who could be quite tough, and they've got some quality players of their own. But John Stones makes the list in 11th place, narrowly missing out on the top 10. In the last 2 friendlies, Spain won 5-0 and 5-1 against Andorra and Northern Ireland, but Grimaldo only played one half in each of those games, rotating with Cucurella, and that could be a big concern. And throughout his time at Spain, which isn't much to be fair, he's only played 4 matches overall, he hasn't really gotten those 90-minute appearances you want to see, and he's someone who could be subbed off very early, around 50 or 60 minutes, and you definitely want him to play at least 60 minutes to get the appearance point and also any clean sheets that Spain might have. And Grimaldo's ownership is very high at 20%. He's priced quite reasonably at 5 million. He had a stellar season at Bayer Leverkusen with 31 goals and assists combined, helping them win the Bundesliga and the German Cup. And for Spain, he's got 1 assist in 4 matches, but the first 2 match days look quite poor against Croatia and Italy. I think match day 3 could be a great time to invest in a Grimaldo, but I'm not going to lie, he's very close to making it to the players to avoid video and podcast because I'm not really a big fan of his minutes. I know friendlies do have a lot of rotation in general, and coaches like to experiment and maybe try different setups and go for different players, but Grimaldo doesn't strike me as a nailed-on player, and you could see him benched in one of these matches at the very least, or even get subbed in another game. So ultimately, only one match with 60+ minutes, that wouldn't be good enough in my opinion, especially if he were to be subbed off for 60 minutes against Albania, his best chance of getting a return. DeMarco also had a great season for his club, getting 14 goal contributions for Inter Milan, helping them win the Supercoppa Italiana and Serie A. His ownership is also 20% and he's priced at 5 million, just like Grimaldo, but in match day 1 he has Albania, so he's a better option than Grimaldo in terms of starting the competition, and I've ranked him higher because he's more nailed on in this Italy team. In 18 games for the Nerazzurri, he's got 2 goals and 2 assists, and one correction from the predicted lineups video and podcast is that Acerbi is injured and he will probably miss match day 1 and maybe the rest of the tournament as well. You could see a Mancini coming in for him, or a Calafiori. There's a few defenders who could take his place, but DeMarco will start in the wing-back spots, and I think he's a great option for Italy. In 8th place, I've gone for Jules Koundé, who can be a ball recovery machine. We've seen it for Barcelona in UCL Fantasy, and he has done quite well in World Cup Fantasy and these international tournaments. So at 5 million, he can play at centre-back and right-back, and whilst having stiff competition from the likes of Klaus and potentially Pavard, Koundé should be the #1 pick, and I think he'll start at least 2 games in the group stages, especially if France still have something to play for in match day 3. Koundé's ownership is 6%, and in 27 games for France, no goals or assists, but for Barcelona, he got 6 goal contributions this season, and whilst Theo Hernandez will be everyone's cup of tea, I think Koundé can get more ball recoveries than him and potentially offer better value. Van Dijk scored as a substitute in a recent 4-0 win against Canada in an international friendly, and the Netherlands will play Iceland before the Euros begins, and this video and podcast is recorded before that takes place. The Netherlands will play Iceland on the 10th of June, so let's see how they get on. But Virgil van Dijk also took the Netherlands' last penalty against Greece in a 1-0 victory, so I think Van Dijk could be a great option despite being 6 million, but the ball recoveries, potentially being on penalty duties when Depay isn't on the pitch, that really boosts his appeal, and I think he's a better option than Denzel Dumfries and also the likes of Frimpong, which might sound crazy to some of you, but Frimpong isn't that nailed on. With Van Dijk, you have no concerns whatsoever about Van Dijk playing or not. He's the captain, he's the Netherlands' best player in my opinion, and in 67 games for the Dutch army, he has 8 goals, no assists, but he's a centre-back. Let's not be too greedy here. And for Liverpool, he got 6 goal contributions this season, including the winner in the Carabao Cup final against Chelsea. I don't like any Netherlands players in Matchday 2, especially their defenders, but for Matchday 1 and 3, I think Van Dijk is one of the best in the business. Belgium are unbeaten in the last 13 matches, and with Wout Faes potentially offering you the best entry into that Belgian defence, Castagna will be overlooked as a result. His ownership is only 4%, but I still think Castagna offers great value at 5 million. He's got a bit of attacking potential. 2 goals and 5 assists in 42 games for Belgium, and for Fulham, he got 4 goal contributions this season. He's got great fixtures from match days 1 to 3, in my opinion. Despite Ukraine being probably the toughest of the lot, I still think Belgium can keep 2 clean sheets in the group phase and maybe go far in this tournament when their golden generation has sailed by and not much is expected from the Red Devils. But Castagna is a good option. In recent friendlies, Belgium beat Luxembourg 3-0 and Montenegro 2-0. So that's 3 clean sheets out of the last 4 games. And in fact, there's actually 5 clean sheets out of the last 6 games across all competitions. So Castagna is a very good way of covering that Belgian defence. The same applies to Wout Faes, who's 4 million, and he's starting most games for Belgium. So unfortunately, Sels won't be the starting goalkeeper at just 4 million, which is a shame. But you do have Wout Faes in the defence, and I think he could be the best budget defender alongside Mittelstadt, who has been covered in the best budget players video and podcast too. The fixtures are great. Wout Faes got an assist in the recent friendly, that 3-0 win over Luxembourg, and that's now 2 assists in 15 games for the Red Devils. And for Leicester, he scored twice in 46 games across all competitions, but those 2 goals came in the Championship. Wout Faes' ownership is only 8%, but that'll probably rise quite significantly by the time we get to the Matchday 1 deadline on the 14th of June. So I would recommend Wout Faes. He makes it into the top 5 of this list, and he could be even higher if he shows more attacking potential like he did in the recent friendly. The problem with Ruben Dias is he's priced at 6 million, and you've got an alternative in Joao Cancelo who offers more attacking potential, and that's why Ruben Dias won't be everyone's cup of tea. But he's got 13% ownership in 56 games for Portugal. He has 3 goals, no assists, and he got no goal contributions for Man City this season. But one thing he has over Joao Cancelo is the ball recoveries, and that's why Ruben Dias is ranked very highly. But he's not been in any of my drafts. I don't think he'll make it into my final team because of Joao Cancelo. But if you were able to have both of them at the same time in a limitless team, for example, then I think Ruben Dias is a great option, and I could see Portugal keeping 1 or 2 clean sheets in the group stages. But Portugal have 2 losses in the last 3 games, including a 2-1 defeat against Croatia on Saturday, the 8th of June. So their recent form isn't that spectacular. In fact, it's very poor. But before that blip, Portugal won 11 consecutive games under Roberto Martinez to kick things off under the Spaniards. So Ruben Dias for me is ranked in 4th place, but you look at the likes of Wout Faes, they're going to be better options in terms of value, but overall when you look at points, ball recoveries and clean sheet potential, there aren't many better than Ruben Dias. Germany have been quite poor in recent international tournaments, but they're the host this time round, and I think they're going to bounce back and have a solid tournament. They've got a good group. It's quite competitive. It's not going to be that easy, but Germany are the favourites to finish top and progress to the round of 16, and Mittelstadt is a 4 million defender who will likely start at left back. Now, in the recent friendly against Greece, Mittelstadt only played 1 half, and you don't like to see that sort of thing happening with your defenders, but he's only 4 million. It's a low risk, and I'd say a good reward if things go according to plan. And obviously look at the lineups in the deadline stream on Matchday 1 on Friday the 14th of June, and if Mittelstadt starts, go for him in your final team, because in my opinion, he's the best 4 million defender in the game, although Wout Fass will definitely give him a run for his money. In 3 games for Germany, Mittelstadt has 1 goal, no assists, but he did help Stuttgart finish second in the Bundesliga over Bayern Munich with 7 goal contributions, and his ownership is very high at 16%. So he is a very template pick, let's be honest with that, but I do think he's better than Jonathan Tah and Antonio Rudiger, who are also good options, but because Mittelstadt is only 4 million, if he starts, I think he's the best option that Germany have to offer in all areas of the pitch. That's the way I see it. And in recent friendlies, Germany beat Greece 2-1 and drew 0-0 to Ukraine. And apart from that, I think Germany have been very inconsistent, even under their new manager, Julian Nagelsmann. But back in March, they beat the Netherlands 2-1 and France 2-0. So maybe they've turned the corner, because last year they were losing games to the likes of Turkey and Austria and looking very shaky defensively. But I think those wins over France in the last year or so have maybe resulted in a turnaround for the German national team. It has been a while since France won the Euros. That was back in 2000, but in recent World Cups, they reached a World Cup final in Qatar and won it in Russia just 4 years earlier. And Theo Hernandez is priced at 5.5 million. He's got very high ownership with 26%, and he's also got 26 games for the French national team, scoring twice and providing 8 assists. That's a phenomenal record for a defender. And for AC Milan, 16 goal contributions, and Matchday 1 looks very good on paper against Austria, but they've got a very good record recently, so let's not discount any opposition, including Poland or Austria. I think they could be very tough opponents for France and the Netherlands, but of course, when you look at it on paper and look at the FDR, Netherlands is going to be the game you want to avoid in Matchday 2 if you use the wildcard or limitless chips, and Matchdays 1 and 3 look poised for a clean sheet at the very least, but it's not guaranteed. I don't think France are necessarily a great defensive team, but maybe against the tougher opposition, so to speak, that's where they shore things up a little bit and they can be very hard to bypass. But in the games against weaker opposition, so to speak, they are a bit more free-flowing, attacking, and it can be very high scoring. But Theo Hernandez can get you ball recovery points and attacking contribution. So Theo Hernandez is second in the best defenders list. At number 1, I've gone for Joao Cancelo, and if you factor in value, you could argue that would pip Cancelo down a few spots as well. But I'm looking at the fixtures, and I could see 2 clean sheets for Portugal, despite their poor form in recent months. And let's not forget, against Slovenia, they rotated very heavily, and Slovenia are no slouches. They've won 8 out of the last 10 games, and they've got quality players like Sesko. And you also look at the game against Croatia, the likes of Joao Cancelo didn't start that game. So I think we're a full-strength team in the starting 11 to kick things off against Czech Republic. Portugal have a great chance of a clean sheet and of winning that game, top in the group, potentially winning all 3 matches in the process. Cancelo's priced at 6 million. His ownership is 23%. In 53 games for Portugal, he has 10 goals and 6 assists. And for Barcelona, he got 9 goal contributions for the season. So I think Cancelo offers the attacking contribution, clean sheet potential, and also ball recoveries, which he's shown time after time again for Man City, Bayern Munich, and Barcelona in UCL Fantasy. And there we have it, the best 11 defenders in the game, a top 10 and 1 honourable mention. Of course, the ranking is kind of preliminary. There are a few changes that could be made as we get into the tournament and injuries happen. You also have different form and players that come into the fray. Maybe Frimpong can nail down a spot in that Netherlands team and he goes from a player to avoid into one of the top 10 defenders in the game. And the same can be applied for Grimaldo going the other way. So it's just preliminary. You can agree or disagree with the rankings. It's completely fine. But ultimately, the best defenders in the game have been covered. It's just up to you how you rank them. Thank you very much for watching this video and listen to this podcast. If you enjoyed it or found it useful, then be sure to smash the like button and subscribe for new. Let's get this video to over 200 likes on YouTube and let's keep on pushing towards 24,000 subscribers and beyond. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, and check all the other links in the description below for my Patreon, the Championships Discord server, Euro Fantasy League, Draft Town, and also Spotify. Follow me on that platform and leave a 5-star review. It goes a long way to supporting the channel. I wish you all the best of luck for Matchday 1 and the rest of the tournament, and I'll see you next time.